Hi, my name's Forrest. I'm tired, as always. I've been awake since 8 p.m. yesterday. And we're going to talk about a controversial subject, 223-556, interchangeability. Because I saw Lemon Grenade trying to do did a little rage baity post about it, and maybe he meant it, maybe he didn't. I don't know. Let's talk about what is and is not safe. And what does safety mean? Okay? There are people that swear you can't shoot 5.56 out of a 2.23. There are people that tell you it's completely fine. Both of these things are incorrect. Okay? Is there a big difference? No, it's nominal. But is it going to kill you? No. And that is my professional take as somebody who works with gun parts for a living now. Let's first start off by where do these cartridges come from? They come from the 222 Remington, which was already a semi-popular case, but immediately obviously became overshadowed by 223. And there was a significant period of time where you couldn't really get 5.56 in the same quantity that you could get 223 because the for whatever reason the manufacturers decided to, and I don't honestly know the reason. If you do, feel free to speak up in the comments. Why the company, why companies like Remington decided to just sell 223 to the civilian market and 5.56 to the military. Maybe it was to try to keep a difference between the two. Maybe it could be that 5.56 was getting a bad name at the time. Doesn't really matter. Ultimately, like, you were just able to get more 223 earlier on than you were 5.56. Now 223 came first as well, prior to 5.56, and then in order to get the effect they wanted on target, I believe Eugene Stoner said in an interview that they wanted to pierce a sheet of 10 gauge steel, I'm not sure what kind of steel, at 500 yards, and a Russian helmet. Not both at the same time, but one and the other. That was the standard it needed to live up to, right? And so to do that, they did things like manipulated the throat of the chamber size, true 5.56 is annealed to a certain specification. That's something to pay important to. At least 5.56 is made for the American military. And you'll be able to tell that annealing by looking at the mouth of the case, or looking at the bottleneck and forward on the case. It'll look noticeably different in coloration. As well as there are other measurement differences. And I don't have the time to Google them all and tell you about all the measurement differences, but externally, these things are almost identical. I think the 5.56 has just a little bit longer of a mouth on the case, is my understanding. I'm not the expert here, but I am here to tell you that I've shot both, okay? And I buy both. Will shooting 223 in your 5.56 give negative results? You might notice less velocity. You probably will. You might also notice a decrease in accuracy. Now, is this because of a lower quality in ammo, or is this because of the bullet essentially jumping a gap in the barrel? Who's to say? There are serious reloaders that shoot long range that jump bullets. That's what they prefer to do. The term jumping is when you don't have a bullet pressed all the way into the rifling, or that the bullet is seated deep enough into the casing so that it's not immediately pressed as hard or all the way into the rifling, and so it has a bit of a jump period, right? That might be present in 223. I don't believe that's a real effect if that is the case. But you're going to notice less velocity on average, probably, up to 100 feet per second or more. And that's what I've noticed over the years, from the stuff I've read and from the videos I've seen, and noticing recoil. I didn't, take any velocity charts myself, but you notice a difference in recoil a lot of the time with some of these guns. Not always. Now, what about shooting 5.56 and a 223? Will it damage your gun? I'm here to say that shooting 5.56 in a 5.56 will damage your gun. Shooting 223 in a 223 will damage your gun. Shooting your gun will damage your gun. Dry firing enough will eventually damage something. What is, you the shooter, has to weigh the benefits of this, okay? And obviously you shouldn't dry fire a 22 LR gun unless it's a very modern gun, because the firing pin can strike the wall of the chamber, or the beginning of the chamber, and break your firing pin. And a lot of the 22s out there aren't so easy to replace parts on. It would be a good calculated decision to not dry fire those. Dry firing an AR, even if you would be breaking a firing pin every 1,000 or 2,000 dry firings, it's still kind of worth it. Let's be honest, okay? And that's unacceptable for it to break that fast, but it would be worth it because dry fire is a very useful tool, right? And it's very easy to get those firing pins replaced and blah, 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 right? 5.56, shooting your gun damages your gun. It puts miles on your gun. It breaks down the barrel over time. It reciprocates the mass of the bolt. It hits the hammer. And a lot of you guys are shooting bad guns. I hate to say it. You're not shooting super great guns, and yet the damage is still minimal, okay? It's non-noticeable, right? You're not going to blow your gun up from shooting 5.56 and a 2.23. You will, over time, cause damage faster than if you had shot 2.23 in that 5.56. But here's the thing. All guns that are made by respectable manufacturers, or any manufacturer at all, even your lower grade stuff, here's the point where I don't get sponsored by Anderson. Even an Anderson thing, they're out of business. Who gives a shit? Even they proof test their stuff. They proof test their 2.23 barrels if they ever made those. Every manufacturer does, and a proof test for 2.23 or 5.56 is typically like, I don't know. I've heard them go as high as like 70,000 psi. That's quite high. Shooting a 5.56 and 2.23 chamber is not getting that high. Shooting a 5.56 and a 2.23 chamber is probably putting you 1,000 to 2,000 psi over standard 5.56 chamber pressures. That's fine. For me, that's fine. For me, that's a decision I'm making. I'm telling you that's fine. Will you notice accuracy differences shooting 5.56 2.23? I have no idea. I've never owned a 2.23 firearm. But is it going to break your gun? Well, here's the thing. Shooting your gun breaks your gun. You know what else breaks your gun? Changing the initial design from what Eugene Stoner intended. Okay? So if you're if we're no longer shooting a 20-inch M16, if we've gone down to even a 14.5 or worse, a 10.5, a Mark 18, that gas system is much more violent. That system is, I would wager to bet that system is doing more damage on your gun than shooting 5.56 and a 2.23 with a 16-inch barrel. That's my opinion. So, should you shoot 5.56 in your 2.23 guns? That's up to you. You're the shooter. You should determine. Ideally, you should be shooting what you can get, but also you should be shooting. Try to be shooting for the best results, right? I would love to see it if even one of these corny YouTubers like Grantham made a video showing like differences in velocities and differences on like after maybe an extended round count of shooting 5.56 and 2.23. The reality is all 2.23 rifles are built different, and they're going to have slightly different chamber cuts. They're going to shoot for the same thing, but are they going to accomplish it? Time will tell. I don't even know if they still make 2.23 rifles. I haven't been on the lookout for one, and 5.56 is the norm. 2.23 Wild. Here's my opinion on that. It's a good match chambering. You don't need a match chambering, but it might be useful to you if you're building like a special purpose receiver or something. I don't know. But yeah, my take on this is it's largely fine. But if you are an educated shooter, you understand the ins and outs of if you're an amateur or even just an amateur ballistician, feel free to do your own research and figure out, are you noticing a difference in accuracy? Are you noticing a difference in velocity? Are you noticing a difference in wear? Are primers showing bulging? These are things you should look out for. Yeah.